What's up, gamers? Today's WotC-20 matchup is Nidoking versus Meganium. Some great card backs on the Meganium side to imply that the secondary attacker in Meganium is also Exeggutor. And it will be very important in the type matchup of this game that the secondary attacker for Nidoking, as you can see, is going to be Onix into Steelix. So, opening matchup here. We don't have any Cleffa on board, so we're going to see a Fan Club immediately off of the Meganium side, which is a good card to have in the opening hand. And we're going to bring down a Chikorita from Neo Genesis, and who else? Probably a Cleffa if I had to guess. The Execute inactive is not the worst thing to have, considering it does have a colorless ramp option. Growth Spurt allows you to attach an energy card from your hand to Execute. And then you also have Sleep Powder, which for 1 grass energy is 10, and unconditional falling asleep for the opponent. So, good Execute. There are other Execute options with more HP, but this one has 2 good attacks. And instead of a Cleffa, we see a Centric coming out. Furret is a very big component to this Meganium deck. Meganium itself can actually get off an attack with just 2 attaches when it's in the active. So that does make Furret very scary if you have any energy on a Chikorita or a Bayleaf or a Meganium. So everyone can attack in this Meganium deck, which is very good. And it looks like we're going to see a Grass Energy attached to the Execute. Now, the Onix, while it does have the same Grass weakness that the Nidoking line does, will evolve into Steelix with a Grass resistance. And for Nidoking, that's going to have to be the primary strategy, I would think, for most of this match. Lean on your Steel Energy, lean on Steelix. And yep, there is the Metal Energy attached. Let's see, good hand flip there from the Nidoking side. There is a Steelix in hand. Looks like they're just going to pass, so pretty slow start on paper. Board's looking very good for Meganium, but we'll see how it plays out on the Steelix side. We're going to see another Grass attach. I assume that was from the Growth Spurt attack there. So Execute, not going to mark damage, not going to put the Onix to sleep. And a very early Oak on the Meganium side, probably contextually making sense to see if you can find a Cleffa, maybe you can start evolving Bayleaf, maybe even find Furret. So I don't mind the early Oak here at all, very aggressive play. There's going to be a type advantage depending on how this plays out, so we'll keep an eye on that. And of course, if Exeggutor gets online, it will be very hard to set anything up on the bench for Nidoking. So probably very favorable in the Meganium case here, but that is why Steelix pairs so well with Nidoking. And lots of thinking now on the Meganium side. They could attach more Grass by ramping. Unsure how much basic energy is in that deck, probably a fair amount. Furret does just a fine enough job searching for basics as it does for special energies. And there's a Warp. Let's see where this is going to go. I assume they'll put a Cleffa in the active. Although there is no energy. Yep, Cleffa inactive, maybe just to block the Onix from using Slam. Slightly risky. Slam with 2 heads would still do 30. And there's the evolution into Steelix. Okay, very good for the Nidoking side. And a Copycat getting rid of the hand. I saw an item finder in hand, not very useful. Saw a Nidoking in hand, obviously not useful with no bench setup. And Copycat here might allow Nidoking to find an extra energy. So we'll see what they find. Rocking a nice green colored grass sleeve, but can't beat the Poke Beach theme. On the other side with Meganium for Exeggutor. See how many came off that Copycat. Looks like 5, 6 maybe. And there's a Fan Club. That's a good pickup, but we can't play 2 supporters in a turn. Nidoran comes down on the bench. We'll see if that makes it very long with Exeggutor on the horizon. And a DCE onto Steelix. So now Steelix only 1 attach away from getting its second attack off. And we're most certainly going to see an Earth Rift here if we can hit heads on this baby rule. Looks like that is a tail. No, that is not a tails. That is a 6 on that die. Wasn't sure on the face if it was a 1 or a 6, but Earth Rift hits a tail, so no Earth Rift next turn. We'll see if they denote that on board, but we will mark 10 everywhere. So I'd say both sides are probably pretty happy with this start. I am curious if we're going to see more aggression from the Meganium side now that there is a Grass resistance in the active for Nidoking. And an energy removal to take away the DCE. Hard choice there if you're taking away the DCE or the metal energy. You know, if you kept DCE on there, it wasn't going to necessarily... Wow, a Cyclone Energy. That was a great drop from Meganium's side. Not going to be too hard to get the Nidoran out of active, but very disruptive, slows things down, prevents the Steelix from really snowballing a board that can't seem to find any evolution pieces, and another DCE, but that does leave the Nidoran inactive. That's probably, and a Fan Club. Fan Club will help a lot here, even out the board a little bit, but Nidoran staying inactive, committing that DCE attachment to the Steelix, is going to guarantee that Cleffa can eke next turn. It would anyway, even if Steelix went back active, of course, but we'll see if maybe that attach could have been made after the Fan Club. Would have liked to see how the board developed first. Sentret and another Onix makes a lot of sense to me. I think this Steelix deck is only, or this Nidoking deck is only going to be running a 2-2 line of Steelix. Might as well call it the Steelix deck since we know that's the line of play for this matchup. And we'll probably see a pass here otherwise. Worth noting that the Poison Horn attack on Nidoran is worth playing into sometimes. There are Rainbow Energies in this deck. Heads for Poison can be good depending on what's inactive. And a double Colorless Energy just for 20 on Scratch from the Nidoran is also fairly good. And it has excellent card art from Aquapolis. Looks like a Bayleaf was found, and we have a Focus Band not only on the Execute, but also on the Bayleaf. So Focus Bands, always a risk, but if you play 2 on average, your opponent has to take 7 prizes. So we'll see how that works out, if it even matters. Small Hand, it looks like now, and a Goldberry. Lots of tools in this deck. Goldberry on the Sentret. Probably a good play if there's going to be a lot of chipping from bench spread from Steelix. Sentret with 50 will be able to proc that Goldberry at 40. And hard to read hand size on the Meganium side, but I think here would be perfectly fine to see an Eek. Another Grass attached to Executor. Ooh, and into an Item Finder. We'll see what they grab here. I have to imagine it could be another energy removal, given the almost set up Steelix. Nope, it's going to be an Oak and a Meganium in the bin. There's probably enough Meganium in this deck where that won't matter, but we'll keep an eye on it. And it looks like they're really going to try to leverage Executor. If Called Shot goes to the bench, it will not be impacted by weakness and resistance, which is standard for most, or all bench attacks, I think, in the format. There might be one exception, but do they have the Executor? There's the Executor, also from Aquapolis, so lots of Aquapolis showcasing in this match. So with Called Shot online for 40 damage here, one more would be 50, but there is a metal attached to the Steelix. As I was saying earlier, that energy removal on the DCE was a hard choice to make. Could have set up for maybe a 2-shot. Probably too far away from that, actually. Probably was looking like a 3-shot anyway. It looks like we did not find a Meganium off of that Oak or an option to go and get it either. Also no Furret. Curious what is going to be in hand from Oak. Called Shot also not going to be able to use the Warp Energy attached to the Executor to get it to 5 attaches. Well, it has 5 attaches, but the Warp Energy won't count towards that Called Shot, so can't take out the Sentret here either. And we're going straight for the Steelix. Metal Energy reduces the damage, so only 30 to Steelix, but keeping that Nidoran inactive is now going to continue to be an issue, so that Steelix could ideally be active, get that Grass weakness relevant, and then even Super Explosion would probably have trouble. Another Metal Energy and a pass. Very tricky position here because you really don't want that Nidoran inactive. Steelix will just keep piling up damage, and another Grass attached from Executor. If a Meganium can come out here, this is going to get out of hand pretty much immediately. You've got 100 to the bench would be coming out, with Meganium coming down and Executor with that many attaches. So 50 minus 20 Steelix. Steelix goes up to 60. Yeah. Math looks about right. So Steelix getting chipped away regardless of attaches. Really needs to go active if possible. See what they're grabbing for dice here. No, okay. Pass to Nidoking. Comp search for Nidoking. We're going to toss a Rainbow Energy and a Sentret. Assume we're grabbing an Oak here. Yeah, and a fresh hand. So that'll be a full grip for Nidoking. See what they can dig up. Unsure what kind of healing options are in this variant. Well, maybe we'll see a healing field. Steelix can come in and start healing off. And then ideally start attacking. Let's see here. Ideally, we would want to see an Iron Smash on that Exeggutor. And worth noting that with 10 chip damage already on Exeggutor, double heads from Iron Smash would force a trigger on that focus band. So a lot of opportunity to get damage off the board here and a Furret down. Got to go get energy and get that Nidoran out of active though. I think at this point you have to play to the out if you are playing the Steelix deck. Let's see, and we know there's an energy in hand, so yep, there's an energy. Retreats the Nidoran. Big flips coming up this turn. Of course, all of this doesn't matter if we can pass back to Meganium and a Gust gets dropped on the table. Another Nidoran comes down. Could also be worth playing into the Nidorino line. It's a decently good attacker. It's got poison. Takedown for 3 colorless is 40 out and 10 to self. So Nidoran could be used in some trading, but I'd be surprised to see Nidoking completely in this matchup. A trader to put Cleffa in. We'll see what they grab. I assume it will be either Steelix or Nidorino. We'll see here too. Might find out that the Steelix is actually prized. A little bit of camera out of focus as we see our pilot from Meganium peeking in there. Lots of text to read on the Steelix, of course. For those who don't know Iron Smash, and he does pull out the Nidorino, unclear if there is a Steelix in the prizes. That could be a very big deal. But if you're unfamiliar with Iron Smash from Steelix, when you flip 2 coins, both are heads, it'll go from 50 to 70. If one is heads and one is tails, it stays at 50. And then double tails, that attack does nothing. But 2 metal, you're usually around to use it often, alternate it with Earth Rift. And now that we have Furret on the board, at least for one side, energy shouldn't be a problem to come by. The real question here is how will Iron Smash go? Double heads? It is double heads. Wow. Okay, rolling for a focus band. Heads. Okay. So, the Exeggutor is going to stay alive with 1 HP on it. Huge heads on the focus band proc. And now, if you're the Meganium side, ooh, and there is a Furret. So Meganium can come online soon. There's 2 Bayleaf on board now, full board. And there's the Gust. That's too bad. As we were talking about for the previous turn, a Gust would send the Steelix to bench, and the Exeggutor would be able to take it out. And even worse, it stalls an Onyx. I think we've already seen 1 DCE get hit by energy removal, and another here will go to the bin. We'll be able to get one from the deck with Furret, though. So we might see a DCE off of Furret for the Nidoking side. And if they can then evolve into Steelix, which I assume that is prize, they could Earth Rift off, take out the Exeggutor, get tons of energy off the board, and even things out a little bit here. We have to assume Nidoking knows where that final Steelix is, and we see a Shaman tossing a Rainbow Energy and a Resistance Gym back into the deck. Probably a good call. Stadium's not going to matter a lot here. Or at least you certainly don't want to play it. Keep it maybe for a computer search or an item finder discard, because taking away that grass resistance would be catastrophic to the matchup. And both players are going to draw 4, a fresh 4, hopefully the best 4 for the Nidoking side. Just got to find a way to do at least 10 damage to Exeggutor. Comp search in hand, could go get whatever they want. Looks like they also redrew the Rainbow and the Resistance Gym that we were just discussing. Keeping the rainbow energy because it is worth steel. And pulling out the DCE with Comp Search. I probably would have preferred to see the Furret used for that rather than the computer search. Maybe they'll do a take back for that. Alright, we're rewinding apparently. Yeah, it looks like we're now considering Furret. Okay, cool. Yeah, no need to pitch that Comp Search. You might need it to go and get another Oak like they did earlier in this game. So we're not going to see an Earth Rift from Steelix to really disrupt the board, but Onyx now has a chance to remove this pesky Exeggutor with a slam as long as it's not double tails. 20 per heads. We'll see how it goes. Exeggutor has got their fingers crossed. Can't read the pink die, but it looks like it was a heads as they scoop up what might well be 10% of the whole deck and putting it in the discard pile. Clef comes in to address this Onyx, and we're back to the Meganium side. Really interested to see what prize was picked up for Nidoking. Still looking for that Steelix. And an early Town V, probably because so much energy is in the bin. We're going to see a Meganium put back in with a lot of grass, it looks like. 4 grass? No, an Exeggutor also goes into the deck. So, good early Town V. See, I assume we'll just see an Eek here after all the shuffling. This could be a longer turn just for all of the processes that have to go through here. Now, if you are the Meganium side, I would say start powering up a Meganium to start swinging. 40 plus sleep is pretty good. You know that Steelix probably is probably in the prizes unless it was just picked up. But another energy removal to yet another DCE. So that's 3 DCE now out of the deck. Furret can grab the last one, but not a lot of options on the Nidoking side, considering 2 Steel are in the bin, 3 DCE are in the bin. Plenty of Rainbow, though, so Steelix will just have to play to the out there. And attached to Bayleaf makes a lot of sense. Meganium's probably going to come in and be able to start attacking. If it can hit this Onyx, that would be a big deal, because it would do 80 due to super effective damage and sleep it. And now we're seeing an item finder. I assume they're grabbing an Oak. Yep, okay, so another find for Oak, and 7 off the top for Nidoking. Gonna have to be a good 7. Evidently did not pull a Steelix out of the prize pool. We got a Warp, a Gust, 2 Rainbows, a Fighting, a Nidorino, and a Nidoking. Might as well evolve, get the cards out of hand here, unless you want to really keep them for Furret. We could end up in a game state where Earth Rage is griefing a board that is no longer set up on the Meganium side, but Meganium does have Furret, so it's not going to stay not set up for long. There's a Gust, bringing in the Furret. Can DCE... Nope, no DCE, okay. Wasn't sure if they were going to use Furret there and try to take advantage of Furret's weakness to fighting. And instead we're going to see an Earth Rage for Tails. Very slow approach to grind the board down. Unsure what the marked damage would have been the most meaningful on there. Maybe the Cleffa for another prize. But I would have liked, if it's not prized, that's another thing. I think I've counted 3 DCE off of Nidoking's board, but there could be a 4th, and from all the deck searching, it's very possible that not only is a Steelix prize, but also a DCE. Trader on the Meganium side is going to pull out the Meganium. That's a beautiful card from Neogenesis, and I assume we're going to see it slam down on the board here. But Furret is stuck inactive, so we're not going to be able to do... We're not being able to get Furret out of the active and put Meganium in and swing with it this turn. But the grass weakness on Nidoking is looking very problematic now. And another Gust to bring in the Onyx. That's not good. So Onyx was warped out. Now it's brought back. It's going to be a huge liability when it's not evolved. Now the real question is how to get Furret out. There's a Warp from hand. Didn't even need to use Furret to go get it. That's a problem too. Just going to bring in Cleffa for now. It can free retreat later. Refill the hand with Eek. Looks like a great play if needed from the Meganium side. The hand's not too small though, so maybe they keep it. Although I can see Eeking if you really want to go and get that Exeggutor online again. Looks like that is 2 back in the deck from Furret. Don't have to show what 2 cards you put in for it, which is nice. Not sure what energy they'll go grab, though, and they do have to show that to prove it's an energy card, but we won't see it attached this turn because of the warp that already came down. You have to feel pretty good if you're Meganium here. Nidoking has a single warp energy attached. And at least they do have, it looks like 2 cards in hand for Nidoking, so they can draw in, play a card, and still use Furret. That's good, but both Oaks are in the bin. I believe we saw an item finder in the bin as well, so if you want to Oak again, you're going to have to find either the second item finder, which I have lost track of, or that's actually probably your only option. Another Nidoking down. If you can toggle between them inactive, you can get 2 Earth Rage flips off to deal 10 to just the bench on the Meganium side, but I don't see that being a very productive line of play here. We are going to see Furret, though. Quite possibly looking for a DCE. Could still get a slam off without it. Where is that Steelix? I wouldn't mind seeing maybe an aggressive Town V from the Nidoking side either if you're really working with 1 Steelix right now in the bin. Metal Energy to Onyx makes sense. But that does mean that Slam needs to win a baby flip and then hit 2 heads to kill the Cleffa here. So that's the baby flip heads, and now you need 2 heads here because of the metal attach. And that is 1 heads. That is too bad. Not sure that the metal attach was super meaningful there unless they can definitely find Steelix. There's 1 card in hand, though, so Nidoking's side looks very slow at the moment. Executor comes back down. And the grass attached to Meganium. Wouldn't be surprised if that comes in and starts swinging. Even with the metal attached on Onyx, that is going to be considerable damage. Yeah, every Onyx except for Aquapolis Onyx in this format is going to have a grass weakness. The one from Aquapolis has a water weakness, but it's also pretty bad as an attacker. It also has 30 less HP, so who needs a proper weakness when you can just have 30 more HP? Here comes the Meganium. Definitely going to see this go to sleep. Of course, evolving it would wake it up. Don't think we're going to see that, though. Just a hunch. All right, looks like it is awake. I assume that is a heads. Fighting energy in hand and a Nidorino. That is not helpful. Well, what do you do here if you're Nidoking? You can start swinging, but you know you're going to get knocked out next turn. 10 damage to Meganium off the slam. That metal attach probably wasn't going to do much on the Nidoking either. It made sense for it to be Onyx. Wouldn't have minded seeing Furret there to just warp out, stall some turns, see what you can grab and find, but this might get out of hand pretty immediately. Keep in mind the prizing is still, well, it was 5-5, now it's 5-4. No Cleffa either. You'd hope you could see some sort of baby stall on the Nidoking side. 2 fighting is good. Might as well flip for an Earth Rage here. Also a Tails. Tough luck on the flips. Start of turn for Meganium. Grass Energy going back to Executor, so it's powering back up. 1 was taken down, but oh, an item finder. This is either going to be a Gust. I assume this will be a Gust, but we'll see. Yep. Gust on the Nidoking with 2 energy, so much for setting up. That is going to get clocked for 80 and asleep. Meganium, surprisingly a great attacker. All right, roll for a wake up here. It does wake up. Maybe another heads can come from the Nidoking side to keep tagging damage on the bench. And a Goldberry, but let's see. That's not going to be enough to survive an attack next turn. Yep, putting it on the one on the bench. That also won't boost the HP enough to allow for Meganium to not 2-shot it. Rolling for an Earth Rage. Alright, that's a heads at least. Tick some damage up on the bench. I think what I would have liked to see from that Goldberry is just maybe putting it on Furret. It at least erases one attack from Meganium completely and turns it into a three attack shot. And a late Cleffa down onto the board as we pass back to Meganium. Exeggutor now with 3 attaches, but with Meganium out, it's more like 6 and a Goldberry on the Exeggutor. Unclear if that Goldberry could also have landed just fine on Meganium. You know there's another Bayleaf on board, so you probably feel fine about it. Don't even need Exeggutor sniping the bench at this point. There's no bench. Alright, looks like there is a Steelix in the deck. Oh my gosh. Good deck peep here while we're going through a Furret cycle. Scavenger hunt from Furret, putting 2 energy back. Oh, I am so sorry. That is actually not the deck peep. That's a Town V. Didn't see it on board, pulling out 3 fighting. Would have liked to see this Town V earlier, but it obviously wasn't in hand. Do you go for the Onyx and Steelix and put those 2 back in? You're not grabbing the metal, though. Considering the Nidoking line again. And the Nidoking line will go into the deck. Nidoran and Nidorino going into the deck off of the Town V. Well, you better hope there's a lot of tails on these baby flips now. If you're the Nidoking side. And a pass off to Exeggutor. Only 3 prizes left for Exeggutor to go grab. Their own Cleffa comes down. Not very afraid of the Earth Raging or the potential Earth Rifts at this point, clearly. Looks like that might have been a Furret from the Meganium side. Couldn't quite see off cam. And another grass attached to Exeggutor. So should Exeggutor come in, looks like that's a scoop on the baby hit. Okay, there's the last Steelix and a DCE prize. That is awful. And 2 strength charms. Very, very, very tough. Not sure Nidoking had much of a chance given those prizes. Great match though. Pilots knew what to play to the outs on. Couldn't keep that initial Steelix up. And yeah, thank you for watching. Drop a like. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll keep this kind of commentating stuff coming if people like it. And yeah, we'll catch you next time. Thank you.